Hey there! Today we're going to play and check out Starship Troopers Extermination on the Steam Deck. First up, I'll see how well the game runs with the medium preset on the Steam Deck. Let me turn on the performance overlay real quick. We're seeing about 30 frames per second straight away, which is pretty good. We might be able to get over 50 frames per second if we lower the image quality or use FSR ON. One thing I've noticed is that by the end of the game, we get a massive FPS drop no matter the settings. The drop is usually between the low 20s and high teens. But yeah, medium settings don't provide a perfect experience, even though the game looks smooth on the Steam Deck screen. Okay, so now let's move on. I've enabled Steam Deck's native FSR by reducing the resolution the game runs at. I'm still using the medium preset here, so all that's changed is that now FSR is enabled. Check this out. When there's not much action in the game, the FPS goes up to around 40. And guess what? Even with FSR on, the game still looks great. I mean, I don't see any changes in the picture sharpness. In fact, I think the picture looks even better now. However, we're still seeing some FPS dips. As you can see, they're dropping to the upper 20s, even when there isn't a lot happening. And at the end of the game, the FPS went down to around 20, which isn't really awesome. But even so, I managed to complete the game and it didn't seem too messed up on the Steam Deck screen. Now let's see how the game runs on high settings without using FSR. I know it might seem a bit odd considering the medium settings weren't perfect, but it's worth trying to figure out what we'd be giving up for some extra visual quality. And, as we might have guessed, it's not great. The FPS dropped to the lower 20s and even high teens, and that's without a lot of enemies on the screen. I can't even begin to imagine how much worse it would get when we're defending our base against a horde of enemies. So, while this is an interesting test, I wouldn't recommend actually playing the game with these settings. It's difficult to aim properly, and the game feels sluggish. However, there is a silver lining. The frame time is consistent, which helps the image appear somewhat smoother. But the question is, can turning on FSR save the day when using high settings? Let's find out. I've adjusted the game's rendering resolution to allow FSR to take effect. The FPS is now fluctuating between 28 and 32, with an average around 29. That's a huge step up from the 18 FPS we saw with FSR turned off, so there's some hope here, although I'm keeping my expectations in check. Once we're thrust into the thick of the action, as expected, the FPS does drop to around 22. However, surprisingly, it doesn't feel too bad when playing on the handheld itself. Of course, I'd love to play at 60 FPS, but for a game you can take with you on the move, it's not too shabby. All that said, I'd probably choose different settings to keep the game running smoother, especially during those intense, crowded battles. Well, let's continue now testing the low settings preset. I've disabled FSR for now so that we can get a clear picture of where the low settings baseline is. Wow, 45 FPS, that's just amazing. I wasn't expecting that much of a difference. And bear in mind that we have FSR turned off, so it can just improve once we enable it. The image quality and draw distance seem fine at these low settings. I was expecting a huge hit on image quality, especially after coming from testing the high settings preset, so yeah, the FPS aren't bad at all. But to be frank, there really isn't much going on here, just a couple of teammates here and there, no battling going on. So I continued to play off screen, I completed this run, and the FPS did drop all the way down to 24 when we were defending the base. Maybe it's an optimization problem with the game or something. Here's the moment you've been, well, not exactly waiting for. Let's turn on FSR and see how many FPS we can squeeze out of the Steam Deck. Firstly, unlike the low settings test, we've got a mini battle going on, with smoke and other effects. I have to say it's really smooth. Sure, with FSR on, the text in menus is a bit blurry, but check this out. We're getting over 40 FPS during minor combat scenes. As with the low settings, FPS did drop to mid-20s towards the end. Remember, the game is still under development, so optimization for the Steam Deck may be on the horizon. As of now, it's not Steam Deck verified. After some tinkering with the settings, I've found an optimized set aimed at a consistent 30 FPS, while maintaining the best visual quality possible. Here, I've recorded towards the end of the match to illustrate the FPS drop I've mentioned throughout the video. The FPS drops to the lower mid-20s. No matter your preset or configuration, this will happen on the Steam Deck given the game's current condition. So, if you're considering buying the game, be prepared for these fluctuations. While I'm hesitant to label these optimized settings, they do offer a steady 30 FPS from the start until the base defense phase. There isn't much else to add about the optimized settings. Let's shift gears now and test the game at 1080p for those who enjoy connecting their Steam Deck to an external monitor or TV. Running on the low preset with the same render resolution, it's pretty much like using FSR performance at this awesome 1080p resolution. We're right in the thick of a small battle here, and let me tell you, it's a blast. The FPS swings between 30 and 40, not as silky smooth as 60 FPS, but it's still pretty slick. What's impressive is how well the low preset squares up against higher settings. Sure, you lose some shadows and draw distance, so some elements might pop in unexpectedly, but given the game's fast pace, you're barely going to notice this during your adrenaline-fueled gameplay. And that's a wrap. If you had fun with this video and found it helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more exciting content like this.
Good capture, Brimstone 1. Next